Rajab has begun, a month unlike any other. It is not just another page on the calendar. It is a sacred doorway, a moment in time when the heavens lean closer, when the soul is quietly called to awaken, yet most people will pass through it unaware, treating its days as ordinary, missing the profound opportunity to return, reflect, and transform. Ibn Arabi, the great Sufi master, teaches that Rajab is a mirror. It shows who is awake, who is asleep, and who is ready to take the first true step toward Allah. In this video, I will share 7 powerful lessons from Ibn Arabi that will help you navigate Rajab with awareness, wisdom, and sincerity, so you do not waste this sacred invitation. This is more than guidance. It is a call to the heart. The question is not whether Rajab has arrived, but whether you will answer it. 1. Rajab is a month that sees you. Rajab is not just a name on the calendar. It is a living moment in time that carries awareness and testimony. Ibn Arabi taught that time itself is a witness, observing the servant not only by actions, but by intentions, states of the heart, and hidden choices. When Rajab arrives, it does not ask how religious you appear, how much knowledge you claim, or how many words you speak about faith. It looks deeper into what direction your heart is facing. Are you turning toward Allah, even slowly, or are you still running from Him while pretending to stand still? This month quietly records whether you enter it with humility or with heedlessness. Many people continue their routines unchanged, unaware that Rajab has arrived as an opening, a moment where return becomes easier and negligence becomes more costly. Ibn Arabi reminds us that sacred times do not force transformation. They expose readiness. Rajab reveals who is awake and who is asleep, who is listening and who is distracted. This is why the early seekers approached Rajab with seriousness, not fear, but awareness. They knew that a single sincere intention formed in this month could reshape their entire spiritual year. Rajab asks nothing dramatic from you. It asks honesty. It asks that you pause, even briefly, and ask yourself a difficult question. If Allah is closer to me in this moment, am I stepping closer to Him or turning away while time bears witness? 2. Rajab is the month of return. Ibn Arabi teaches that the human being is never standing still. Every soul is always in motion, either returning toward Allah or drifting further away, even when it feels unchanged on the surface. Rajab arrives as a moment when this return becomes lighter, more accessible, as if the road back has been quietly cleared. This is why the scholars of the heart described Rajab as the month of Rojam, the month of turning back. It does not demand perfection, nor does it wait for strength. It welcomes weakness, regret, and honesty. Many people delay repentance, telling themselves they will change in Ramadan when they feel more spiritual, more disciplined, more ready. Ibn Arabi challenges this illusion by reminding us that readiness is not a condition for return. Return is the condition for readiness. Rajab does not ask how many times you have fallen, but whether you are willing to turn around again. Even a hesitant step back toward Allah in this month carries weight because it is taken against habit, ego, and despair. Rajab teaches that return is not a single dramatic moment, but a repeated choice made quietly, often unseen by others. To return in Rajab is to admit that distance from Allah was never about Him being far, but about the heart facing the wrong direction. This month invites you to turn that heart, even slightly, and trust that Allah meets every sincere return with mercy greater than the distance you thought could never be crossed. 3. Your inner state matters more than your actions. Ibn Arabi consistently reminds us that Allah does not relate to the servant through outward form alone, but through the inner state that gives those actions meaning. In Rajab, this truth becomes especially clear. A small act performed with sincerity, awareness, and humility, can outweigh a lifetime of actions done out of habit or for appearance. Many people increase worship when sacred months arrive, yet their hearts remain scattered, distracted, and unchanged. Rajab gently exposes this imbalance. It asks whether your prayer is a meeting or a routine, whether your remembrance is presence or noise, whether your repentance is real or rehearsed. Ibn Rabi teaches that actions without presence are like empty containers. They have shape but no substance. This does not mean actions are unimportant, but that their value is determined by the heart that carries them. Rajab is a month that trains the inner eye, teaching you to watch your intentions before counting your deeds. It invites you to slow down, to feel what you say in supplication, and to allow sincerity to replace performance. One moment of true awareness in Rajab can realign the heart for months to come, because Allah responds not to the quantity of effort, but to the truthfulness of the state from which that effort arises. 4. Silence is a form of worship in Rajab. Ibn Arabi viewed silence not as emptiness, but as a sacred space in which truth is allowed to emerge. And Rajab is one of the rare times in the year where this silence carries special weight. In a world filled with constant noise, opinions, arguments, and self-expression, the soul slowly loses its ability to hear the subtle call of Allah. Rajab arrives as a quiet invitation to reverse that condition. This month does not demand more speech, more explanations, or more religious talk. It asks for restraint, listening, and inward attention. Ibn Arabi taught that excessive speech hardens the heart, not because words are evil, but because they scatter presence. When the tongue is constantly active, the heart rarely settles. Silence, on the other hand, gathers the self back together. It allows the servant to notice thoughts, impulses, and intentions that are usually drowned out by distraction. In Rajab, silence becomes a mirror. It reveals how restless the heart has become and how deeply it depends on noise to avoid facing itself. This is why the early seekers practiced intentional quiet during sacred times, not as isolation from the world, but as a return to inner order. Silence in Rajab does not mean withdrawal from responsibility or kindness. It means choosing words carefully, speaking only what brings clarity, benefit, or mercy. It means stepping away from arguments that inflate the ego, conversations that waste time, and online exchanges that leave the heart agitated rather than illuminated. Ibn Arabi emphasized that silence prepares the heart for divine speech, because only a quiet vessel can receive a subtle message. When you reduce unnecessary speech in Rajab, you begin to hear what was always present but never noticed: the quiet reminders in your conscience, the gentle pull toward prayer, the awareness of Allah's nearness. This form of worship is difficult because it produces no visible result and earns no recognition. Yet it reshapes the inner world more deeply than many outward acts. Silence teaches patience, humility, and restraint, and in Rajab it becomes a doorway to awareness. By choosing silence where speech is unnecessary, you are not becoming passive. You are becoming attentive. You are learning to let Allah speak to the heart rather than constantly announcing yourself to the world. This is why silence in Rajab is not emptiness, but presence, and not absence, but preparation for a deeper form of closeness that words alone can never achieve. 5th, Rajab exposes attachments. Ibn Arabi teaches us that the greatest obstacle between the human soul and Allah is often not outward sins or obvious transgressions, but the subtle, invisible chains of attachment that quietly bind the heart without ever being noticed. These attachments can take countless forms: a reliance on wealth, relationships, status, habits, or even familiar routines that seem harmless but occupy the center of our attention. Rajab arrives as a month uniquely capable of exposing these hidden dependencies, not as punishment, but as an invitation to self-awareness and liberation. During ordinary times, these attachments blend seamlessly into daily life, comforting the ego and giving a sense of control, yet subtly stealing the space meant for divine presence. They disguise themselves as necessities or innocuous comforts, filling the mind and heart while the soul slowly forgets its true purpose. Ibn Arabi emphasizes that attachment is not merely about ownership, it is about being possessed by something other than Allah. When something other than the divine occupies the center of the heart, it dictates emotions, decisions, and priorities, often without the individual realizing the depth of its influence. Rajab, in its sacred quality, gently disrupts these patterns. The month brings moments of restlessness during prayer, difficulty in maintaining focus in worship, irritation with the silence of reflection, or a sudden longing for worldly distractions. These are not signs of failure. They are signals that the heart is revealing what silently commands it. Ibn Arabi's wisdom teaches that what the servant defends most fiercely when drawn toward Allah is often what secretly enslaves them. During Rajab, when the soul is invited to return, attachments resist because they sense the heart's potential for reorientation. These resistances can appear as excuses, fatigue, procrastination, or persistent distractions, all of which the soul must confront with awareness rather than avoidance. Observing without judgment is essential. What dominates your thoughts when you attempt to pray? What inner impulses interrupt your meditation or dhikr? What fears or clinging habits arise when silence descends? Rajab illuminates these hidden forces, creating a sacred space for reflection, recognition, and eventual detachment. Letting go of attachments does not imply rejection of the world, but realignment of priorities, restoring the heart to its intended order. Ibn Arabi often stressed that creation is to be held lightly, appreciated in its proper place, but never allowed to displace the divine from the center of consciousness. The ego perceives detachment as loss, yet the month of Rajab teaches that true freedom comes not from accumulation or control, but from the conscious choice to release what holds the heart captive. As attachments are acknowledged and loosened, the heart begins to breathe, to expand, and to reclaim the space that belongs to Allah alone. Recognition of these inner chains is itself an act of worship, because transformation begins with awareness. Rajab provides the opportunity to confront these subtle ties before they harden into habits that obscure the soul's natural alignment. The month asks for courage, honesty, and repeated effort, not sudden perfection, and rewards sincere introspection with clarity, inner peace, and renewed spiritual vision. Ibn Arabi emphasizes that detachment is not emptiness. It is receptivity. The heart that learns to release what competes with Allah's presence becomes a vessel capable of receiving His mercy and guidance in ways previously impossible. Rajab, therefore, is not merely a time on the calendar. It is a mirror, a testing ground, and a gentle but firm awakening. Those who heed its lessons do not simply survive its days. They transform, seeing their attachments clearly, choosing consciously, and allowing the soul to orient fully toward the divine. It is in this exposure of attachments, this illumination of the hidden forces that bind the heart, that Rajab fulfills its true purpose, a sacred invitation to freedom, presence, and return to Allah. The month does not guarantee change, but it guarantees opportunity. Awareness of attachment, acknowledgement of its subtle power, and the deliberate act of loosening it become a pathway for the heart to reclaim its divine center, making Rajab not only a month of reflection, but a month of profound spiritual liberation. 6. Small consistent acts are loved in Rajab. Ibn Arabi teaches that true spiritual progress does not come from grand gestures or dramatic bursts of devotion, but from consistent, humble, and sincere actions, even if they seem small in the eyes of the world. Rajab, as a sacred month, magnifies this principle, revealing that the heart's continuity in remembrance, reflection, and good deeds carries far greater weight than occasional extremes. The human tendency is often to wait for perfect circumstances or a peak of spiritual energy to devote oneself fully. But Ibn Warabi reminds us that waiting can easily become procrastination, and perfectionism can become a barrier. The early seekers understood that even a small, repeated act done with full awareness could accumulate into immense spiritual strength, shaping character and refining the soul in ways sudden large acts never could. In Rajab, every intentional step towards Allah matters, a brief moment of sincere prayer, a quiet remembrance whispered in humility, a short act of kindness performed without expectation, or a minute of reflection with full attention. These small acts, repeated consistently, become the threads that weave a tapestry of spiritual transformation. Ibn Warabi emphasizes that the quality of presence and sincerity is more important than quantity. Even a single act of devotion, performed with the heart fully aligned with Allah, outweighs countless actions performed mechanically or for show. The month of Rajab exposes attempts at superficiality, showing the individual where inconsistency, distraction, or fatigue has allowed the heart to drift. It does not shame the servant, but illuminates the opportunity for steadiness, teaching that spiritual growth is a matter of building a pattern, not achieving a momentary high. Many people fail to recognize the quiet power of incremental effort, yet Ibn Warabi assures that it is this very consistency that draws the soul closer to the divine presence. Rajab encourages the seeker to choose small, daily practices that can realistically be maintained, understanding that even a single additional prayer, a short moment of dhikr, or a brief reflection on the heart's condition, when repeated each day, compounds into profound spiritual benefit. The month also tests patience, humility, and perseverance, because the human mind often craves instant results or dramatic experiences. Rajab teaches that transformation is not always visible immediately. It often occurs subtly within the hidden layers of the soul. Over time, these small, steady actions build resilience, deepen sincerity, and cultivate an intimate awareness of Allah's presence, forming a spiritual rhythm that sustains the heart even beyond the sacred month. Ibn Warabi reminds us that the divine values the heart's commitment to continuity, the willingness to show up day after day, and the discipline to maintain alignment with intention and purpose. The month of Rajab is therefore not a call for extraordinary deeds, but a call to faithful, consistent presence. In this way, even the seemingly insignificant effort becomes a powerful force, capable of realigning the heart, sharpening the soul's focus, and preparing the servant for the greater challenges and blessings of Sha'ban and Ramadan. Rajab, in essence, teaches that greatness in the spiritual path is often quiet, patient, and repetitive, and that those who honor small acts with full awareness and consistency are the ones who experience profound transformation. The month becomes a laboratory for cultivating devotion, a space where the ordinary, repeated acts of sincerity are magnified, internalized, and allowed to shape the heart into a vessel of mercy, love, and readiness for divine proximity. Ibn Warabi's guidance assures the seeker that in Rajab, it is not how much you do in magnitude that matters, but how fully and consistently you dedicate yourself, moment by moment, to awareness, remembrance, and righteous action. Even the smallest step, repeated consistently with presence and humility, opens doors to spiritual awakening, and it is this rhythm of attention and devotion that Rajab honors above all. 7. Rajab is an invitation, not a guarantee. Ibn Arabi teaches that spiritual opportunity is not a guarantee, And the sacred months, no matter how blessed, do not automatically transform the heart. They are invitations, moments of divine grace, and portals that open to those who are willing to enter with sincerity, attention, and awareness. Rajab is one of these portals. It comes quietly, without fanfare or coercion, and yet it carries immense potential for awakening, reflection, and return. The month does not demand perfection, nor does it reward ritual performed mechanically. It measures readiness, sincerity, and the heart's willingness to respond. Many approach Rajab assuming its blessing is automatic, believing that the passage of days alone will ensure spiritual benefit. Ibn Arabi warns against this assumption. Rajab's arrival is not a guarantee of guidance or acceptance, but a test of receptivity. It offers space, time, and clarity, but the human heart must actively respond to these gifts. This is why the month is often described as a mirror. It reflects the state of the soul, revealing who is attentive, who is negligent, who approaches with humility, and who continues in distraction. The invitation of Rajab is profound because it does not force transformation. It creates conditions in which transformation becomes possible for those who recognize and embrace them. A person may perform countless rituals, recite endless prayers, or fast many days. Yet if the heart is absent, distracted, or bound by attachment, the month's blessing will pass unnoticed. Ibn Arabi emphasizes that divine openings require not only intention but active engagement. They demand presence, honesty, and consistent effort. Rajab, in this sense, tests whether the seeker truly desires to return, not in words, but in the movement of the heart and soul. Those who respond to the invitation are not necessarily the most learned or the most outwardly pious. They are those who recognize the opportunity, who answer the call, and who dedicate themselves to sincerity and reflection. The month challenges the ego, as it reveals hidden inclinations toward delay, neglect, or self-deception. Each day in Rajab presents a choice to heed the invitation, even in small ways, or to allow it to slip away while the soul remains unchanged. Ibn Arabi teaches that divine openings are never wasted, but they are also never forced. They remain available only as long as the heart is attentive, as long as awareness is present, and as long as the soul is willing to engage in honest reflection and action. This is why the sacred months are described as doors, not guarantees. The door is open, but one must walk through it to receive the blessing inside. Rajab, therefore, is both merciful and serious. It extends grace and ease, while simultaneously requiring conscious engagement, humility, and intention. The month highlights that opportunity alone does not suffice. It is the response that matters. The moments of reflection, the sincere prayers, the acknowledgement of faults, the loosening of attachments, and the steady small acts of devotion. All these constitute the answer to the invitation. Rajab honors those who choose to participate fully in the opening, who listen to the subtle calls of the heart, and who turn toward Allah with honesty, consistency, and awareness. Those who ignore the invitation, delay their return, or rely solely on external performance miss the essence of the month, and its days pass without leaving a lasting mark on the soul. Ibn Arabi's guidance reminds us that divine grace always presents itself, but it requires human cooperation. Rajab is not a guarantee of reward, but it is a guarantee of opportunity, and opportunity itself is sacred because it tests, refines, and prepares the heart for greater closeness to Allah. Those who understand this lesson recognize the urgency of the present moment, embrace the month with attentiveness, and seize each day as a chance for transformation. Rajab, in its quiet majesty, invites, illuminates, and challenges. It offers the possibility of awakening, the potential for return, and the conditions for profound spiritual growth. but only for those who step forward to answer, acknowledging that the blessing is conditional upon awareness, sincerity, and deliberate engagement. In this way, the month becomes not just a passage of time, but a sacred opportunity to align the heart, release what obstructs it, and respond fully to the divine invitation, making Rajab a living lesson in conscious choice, spiritual responsibility, and the transformative power of attention. Rajab has begun, but the month will not wait for you. Its days are a sacred invitation, a chance to awaken, to return, and to reshape the heart. Ibn Barabai teaches us that opportunity is never forced, it is offered, and it is up to us to answer. The lessons of Rajab are simple yet profound. Awareness, sincerity, patience, and consistent effort are far more powerful than outward display. As these days pass, ask yourself, have I truly responded to this invitation, or have I let it slip away in distraction and delay? The choice is yours, and every moment counts. Take what you have learned, act upon it, and let this Rajab be a turning point in your spiritual journey. Do not leave this month unchanged. Let it leave a mark on your heart, your soul, and your life. Answer the call, embrace the opportunity, and step closer to Allah before it is too late.